Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. If you've been following the channel for the last 2 years, you should know exactly where this conversation is about to go. If you are shocked in any way, hello, you are definitely new to the channel. The price valuations and the numbers that we are currently seeing within the cryptocurrency space regarding exactly where prices are going to go are quite staggering. We've been going over this, it's on a weekly basis at this point, as far as exactly where people see the future of the cryptocurrency space, where they see the future of prices and how high they believe a lot of these things can go. As a bit of a reminder from the last 10 or so videos, it has been projected that no one knows for certain if it has been projected that we might be done with previous cycles, in that any crashes in prices that we previously saw before may be done. That is to say, the 90 to 95% price crashes that we have all experienced before in the cryptocurrency market might not be as extreme, simply because we know that the institutions are buying now. And if we know that there are dozens of institutions who are buying Bitcoin and crypto openly, therefore, the idea would be, if there is a sell-off, company A would try to buy before company B, before company C, because if you stand there and go, well, the price is going to go down a lot lower, so I'm going to wait. Company D, E, and F goes, okay, sure, okay, yeah. You guys keep waiting, and then they'll buy up before you actually have a chance. This has led to speculation as far as where prices are going to be in the next couple of years, because of the idea of this having, the next having, interest rate drops, the limited supply. We don't have to go over it as intensely as we've done before, but we've definitely had multiple conversations where there might not even be definitely under 1 million Bitcoin even left for 8 billion people on the planet. The issue is that this is going to have a dramatic effect on the world's, I don't want to say the world's economy, but there will be a dramatic shift if all of these predictions do come true, as far as where people decide to put their money into the future. A lot of people are going to be far less inclined. This is the idea. For those of you who've never known about the idea of hyperbitcoinization and or the idea of Bitcoinization in general, many people in the future, it is predicted, will be far less inclined to buy an investment property for $150,000, $200,000 instead of putting that money directly into Bitcoin. I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. The idea being, if you see that money you put into Bitcoin the year after could potentially be $225,000, you would go, I made a lot more on putting money onto a screen than I could have actually buying property. If you see that over the course of a 5-year period, that rises to $1 million, I could not have made that from buying property 5 years ago, and now I'm a millionaire just because I hold Bitcoin. That's the general idea of what it actually means. So there's a person, her name is Perry Ann Boring. Yes, her last name is Boring, B-O-R-I-N-G. See, she is the chief executive of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. And basically, she has predicted that if we are at the end of the previous cycles, if the other cycles in the future are different, that is to say, in simplistic terms, if Bitcoin would go to 100,000 and instead of falling down to 15,000, would simply go to 75,000, be bought up again, and then would continue slowly rising over the course of basically forever. She projected that. Now here's the part that got me, because so I'm sure some of you must have seen the memes, because I was looking at them before and I was like, ha ha ha. I saw the memes where people were like, it's weird that we are almost near like 2030 as opposed to the year like 2010. And I was like, that's not true. And you're like, oh yeah, 2010 was a very long time away. So she predicted by the year 2029. And in my mind, I was like 9 years away. Like, what is this woman talking about? And it's like, oh, yeah, it's less than 5 years away at this point. She predicted by 2029, if adoption remains the same, if adoption continues at the exact same point that it currently is, this is always something that I've spoken about in other videos as well. A lot of times, I mean, we all exist in our own bubbles in our own way, but a lot of times people do assume that accumulation kind of just continues in a line that goes just across. You know, they're accumulating, their friends are accumulating, people within their bubble, within their sphere, accumulating. There's no outside forces that are bringing this up higher and higher, but it does. It always, we know that for a fact. You can see the amount of new Bitcoin addresses created every single day. You can see the news of countries who are going through terrible rates of inflation, and their citizens who are also buying up tons of Bitcoin as well. She said if adoption continues where it currently is, by the year 2029, Bitcoin will have a 7-figure price tag. It'll be over $1 million. She had an interview on CNBC. She basically said that according to her metrics, and we've heard this before a lot of other times, and this was also a very big talking point in 2022, 2023, where I was basically like going completely insane because we would get nothing but really good news and the prices wouldn't react, and it drove me bananas. She said that according to their metrics, based on, remember we were talking about this before, the fact that Bitcoin does trillions with the letter T, trillions of dollars in movements worth of money just within its blockchain alone, shows an egregious amount of actual value and how much value this chain and this coin actually has, that people are choosing to move trillions of dollars through Bitcoin as opposed to a bank or an institution or any other thing like that. She said the fair value of Bitcoin, according to their metrics, is between $100,000 and $210,000 per token. I also mentioned that before. It is evident. This is, tinfoil hat time. It is abundantly evident that institutions behind the scenes, at least to me, were doing everything that they could to make sure that prices lowered years ago so that they could accumulate more and more and more and more. We only got, besides the Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, and Genesis news, 2022, 2023 was just good news. It is clear that Bitcoin should have been over 100,000 the entire time, but of course people will do as they so please to make sure that prices are lower so that they can accumulate. Because if we're talking about, you can, move the market when you are as big as Fidelity and BlackRock, and you can make sure that prices remain low, or you can get to an $18,000, $21,000, $23,000 Bitcoin, because it should be over 100,000. It should be over 200K. And that it's going to go over $1 million per coin. You as an institution, it's not right, but it's what they do. You do what you need to do to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. She said, we use valuation models to try to understand what the value of Bitcoin is today. We all know what the price is, but the real question that we need to understand, that investors need to understand, is what is the value? They use a whole bunch of different valuation models. Today, if the price of Bitcoin should currently be valued at 100 to 210,000 per Bitcoin, we apply an S-curve analysis to look at the long-term adoption of Bitcoin. Currently, this is the number that I always find a bit weird as well. She says that apparently, according to their numbers, around 40% of U.S. households have allocated and own some form of cryptocurrency today. We went over that number before. I think we even saw a 35 to 40% number thrown out there as well. And I'm a little skeptical of that number simply because this would mean just about nearly every other person that you're walking by down the street would own Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. I assume the number is closer to 10, 15, 20%. I know a lot of people know about Bitcoin and crypto. I have a lot of friends who know exactly what it is, but they also know what stocks are. They also know what real estate is as well, and they don't own any. So I think the numbers are also like a little bit askewed according to that. But I mean, I also, maybe I don't have the analytical numbers from Coinbase, from Kraken, from Gemini, from all these other places to say exactly how many households are holding cryptocurrency in general. She said, we are on track for a 90% adoption rate. That's just within the United States, 90% adoption by the year 2029. Once we hit 90% adoption rates just within the United States, we have $1 million per coin because, again, Bitcoin has a limited supply, which is a key feature of this technology. If we get to, for those of you who don't know, the idea of $1 million Bitcoin, I'll say this in the nicest way, the idea of $1 million Bitcoin basically indicates in all but words, or maybe also words, like the obliteration or the end of or the non-existence of the US dollar anymore. And I can't find this article. I know someone will always be able to. I try sometimes. I really find these things and I can't do it. There was a bank in Switzerland who mentioned years ago that if Bitcoin goes to $250,000, it's strong enough to take over gold, to usurp gold, to be the new digital gold, and also strong enough to take over the US dollar. When you talk about $1 million per Bitcoin in the year 2029, we haven't gotten to the 2032 halving or the 2036 or the 2040. And then from there, Bitcoin still has another 100 years until the last Bitcoin is mined. A $1 million, I personally do believe we are going to hit $1 million Bitcoin, but I think in 5 years, 5 years indicates the US dollar has completely gone haywire. Other people around the world, you need to collectively have an additional 3-4 billion people on the planet all agree that fiat currencies are terrible, and they all start buying Bitcoin as well. It's not impossible, but it's a very, I think, but I mean, my timing is also off as well, because I've also thought that where we currently are in the cryptocurrency space, I thought wouldn't happen until around 2030, somewhere around there, not even price wise, but also sentiment wise, the institutions, the yada, 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 that kind of thing. I thought 2030, and I thought 2045, a good $1 million Bitcoin, 2060, maybe 10, 15 million. But where we currently stand right now, people think that like, not only is it undervalued, but the money is going to hit the fan. Like it's literally going to go completely insane over the course of the next couple of years. $1 million Bitcoins, that means that people have fled from the US dollar, the world's reserve currency, are trusting Bitcoin more. And if we get to $1 million Bitcoin, a $10 million Bitcoin is all but inevitable. Like literally, like you need to understand how high Bitcoin's valuation would need to be to actually go to $1 million. And for people to like still, there would not be a person on the planet who does not have it, own it, or has like no faith in it in some sort of way. Like as far as like, no, this thing is going to succeed, that kind of way. This leads us into a $10 million Bitcoin 5 to 10 years later, which then eventually leads us in the 2040s and 50s into a $100 million Bitcoin. Like this is the shift that I was and have been predicting for a long time, but I didn't realize that this person thought it was going to happen this soon. But as I said before in many other videos, I think this is going to be a very definitive year. I think it's all been leading up to this. All of it. This one road has led us to this moment, and it's from here, not to sound intense or like, like psychic-y, but it seems like history-wise, the world-wise, we got to this point, and I think this is where like everything kind of like takes a turn that a lot of people, especially those not in the cryptocurrency space, just aren't expecting at all. I do expect the people who are holding crypto will be the new like wealthy people on the planet. That's not meant to make you FOMO. It's more of I go over crypto news every day. every single day for the last 7 years. Like, this news is heavy. Like, it's always on my mind. It's always something that I'm thinking about. It's always something that I try to tell friends and family about, because this is so abundantly clear, like what's happening and what's going to take place. And we haven't, at the time of me making this video, we haven't even gotten to this halving. So yeah, I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.